ॐ ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। आदिगुरुं जगद्वन्द्यं लोकाधीशं परात्परं नवयुगप्रवर्तारं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं श्रीशारदां विश्वमातां शिष्यवृन्दं च षोडशम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Yes, we saw up to Titiksha. Now next we will be entering to Samadhanam. Samadhanam. Nigrihitasya manasaha shravanadau tadanuguna vishaye cha samadhihi samadhanam. Nigrihitasya manasaha, mind which has been withdrawn from the external world. From childhood we have been slaves of our mind running here and then, taking us, dragging us into the world, especially of the objects of senses and pleasures, where if not anything, after leaving even all the external world, this small comfort zone we create and start living in that comfort zone. Now, how the mind works, somehow it is needed, of course, for safety, for protection of our living, everything is needed. But to leave the mind and run after the mind dragging us away, is not good for a spiritual aspirant, because he wastes his time in again bringing the mind back, again it runs away. In the same play, whole life goes off. The firm decision, the complete training over the mind, nigrihita, withdrawn mind, that grit the man sadhaka must have, sadhakatva. When the sadhakatva is awakened, mind will not go anywhere. The whole struggle is to turn the senses and mind inward. Later on, once the inward journey begins, the mind merges in buddhi, and buddhi with five senses alone will lead the rest of the path. Now, here we see mind has to be withdrawn. How it was withdrawn? We saw in the earlier classes, mind being withdrawn from the external objects, object and subject. Now, after having withdrawn it, in Patanjali also yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. Pratyahara is where we withdraw the mind. And mind is, once we become master of the mind, we have been slaves of the mind all the time, but it is a servant, we forget. And servant is ruling over the master. Now, when we recognize it to be servant, and lovingly, like a spoiled child, we bringing back to control, we bring back with great love, care, prayer, this, that, so many methods we use, and pacify the mind. Again and again, how do we bring? Again and again, vichara, viveka. Viveka is most important part, that mind has, it's behind mind stands the buddhi. Buddhi emerges when the viveka enters into buddhi, or buddhi manifests viveka, then the power of discrimination, mind becomes something like a just obedient child. Then it will be viveka, clearly differentiates. That's why nitya viveka comes into picture first. Viveka, nitya and anitya. Oh, I don't want this anitya. I don't want temporary pleasures of the body and mind. I want eternal bliss, eternal peace, eternal love. Where can I get that eternity? So he sees whole world, life is just a passing show. Yesterday is gone forever, childhood is gone forever, never to be seen again. Days are going, each day appears and disappears. It's a passing show and nothing, empty hand. So this, when he understands, world is a passing show. Objective world has nothing to contribute to my life. I have to search for the reality, for eternity in the inward world, because the whole universe is a constantly changing flux. You cannot have permanency here. Impermanency and uncertainty are important principles governing the life and the existence. Now we see with the Viveka interfering, the mind comes into control. Now this mind which has been withdrawn, now what for did I withdraw from mind from the world? Why did I control it? It's like a animal, bringing it under control. You must see how the oxes and buffaloes are brought in control to plough the land. How many days they will tie huge weights and leave it in the fields. It drags the stones and wooden logs and then comes into control. Like that, somehow or the other, when we start with what for? The oxes and bulls and buffaloes are brought under control to pull a cart or plough the land. Like that, what for do I control the mind? It is for Bhagavat Vishaya or Atma Vishaya. I have to turn it, it doesn't stand. So, to withdraw, after withdrawing, he says, Shravanadau, Tadanugana Vishaye. Saptami Bhakti is used, Shravanadau, Tadanugana Vishaye. To make it sit in Shravana Manana Nidhityasana, reading Bhagavad Gita and getting lost in its meaning. How it will, first the little yearning for God, or I want to realize God, or some spiritual attainments when I am aiming and I am true to my goal. I want to do it. When that necessity and feeling comes, I have to get it. Everything, it depends upon my sankalpa. When the sankalpa is there, then intellect projects it has a penetrating power which was not there. I did not use it. Now the mind becomes intellect becomes so subtle and powerful, like X-rays or laser beam. It can penetrate into matter and discover. Now, this mind becomes so obedient. If you ask it to be here, it will be here. If you ask to be there, it will be there. It will not move from there. If I consider the mind, suppose my mind is under control, I will think. I will not divert my mind to anything, whatever may happen. Now I am going to think of Atman, or I am going to think of Sri Ramakrishna. People talking around will not disturb you. In bazaar, in busy hours, you can sit, and once the sankalpa is there, mind will not come out. That absorb the mind. Next moment, suppose you do the sankalpa, now I will go and work. And hold the mind, how it participates in the work. Like a lion tearing its prey, it will be working. Anything, anywhere you want the mind to. Now, this property of the controlled mind to keep, and the process of keeping the mind in Shravanadau. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is the process of, in Advaita we use the path. Shravana, Manana, Shravana, Guru, Upadesha, and then Shastra, whatever the Adhyayana we do. Tapasvadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana is called the Kriya Yoga. So here, Adhyayana is an important part. Adhyayana has two aspects. One is Adhyayana is study of the scriptures. Another part of the Adhyayana is self-analysis. Studies and self-analysis. Who am I? I turn in, what is mind? What is intellect? What is senses? Clear understanding. When we sleep, how the senses just move from the organs. The moment I am sleeping, slowly all senses are withdrawn from the sense instruments. These are instruments. The senses, Jnanendriya, Karana, these are instruments. From how the Jnanendriyas are withdrawn, you see. And ear is open, people are shouting around, you don't know at all. This is withdrawal. Now this mind has that power to be placed anywhere you want. Now Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. First, that Shravana, it begins with Shravana. Shravana is done through ear. And later on, it goes through the Manana. What is heard is, the Shravana is continuing. It doesn't end. Shravana continues in the mental level, and it becomes a part of your being. And you experience it in your own self. These are very high states that we are going to experience in much later in our life, in sadhana. But Shravana, Manana is going on, cogitating over the thing, what I have heard or studied. Adhyayana gives, now Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, beautiful explanation of the Atman. Each one, if you take up and go on cogitating, how it leads you to the calm mind and the inner self, as if it is throwing light on a particular aspect of the Chaitanya, and you are experiencing it. Even in Bhakti Yoga, you see how the love of God makes the form appear in your heart, and the love is lighting it up. The Rupa of the Ishtadevata, when you see, what is illumining it is the love. Your love illumines it, and you start clearly. The more you love have, it's like a powerful light exhibiting the form. When love is little, vague form, a thing we think, it doesn't appear, it doesn't manifest, it doesn't project through. We feel a vague picture of, hazy picture of this one. If love is not there at all, you never see a form. You see only sitting, you try to see the form, you see darkness. Similarly here, the Upanishad Vakya, Guru Vakya, when you cogitate, the light of the self itself starts illumining it. That illumined by an object, illumined by the Chaitanya, these worldly objects of the whole world, whatever you see, matter, material world, it is illumined by physical light, sunlight and all. If light is not there, you can't see the object at all. If in darkness you cannot see any object, light must be there. These objects are illumined not by Chaitanya, but physical light. Chaitanya is within you. Your intellect, what you have read, is illumined by the Chaitanya. In sleep it is not there. When you are awake, Chaitanya is pervading your mind and intellect. Now, yesterday what happened? I went there, I went what this there. What is illumining it? Is your Chaitanic light, which is through buddhi. Buddhi is clearly manifesting in the light of some light is needed. The light of the Atman it is. But it is reflected light. When you enter into Chidakasha, the passing through various layers, Chidakasha, then you will see direct light of the consciousness, Chaitanya. Chaitanya light you will see first time when you enter into Chidakasha. Chidakasha is a part of the Vijnanamaya Kosha, according to Advaita, and in along chakras, it is Anahata Chakra. In Anahata Chakra alone you will get the vision of God, form of the God. So here we are moving towards the formless. We are bypassing the form. In Advaita, we bypass the form and go to the root again. What has taken form? That just like I am going now, I am eating, I am sleeping. That I, where from that I came? Waking eye. The moment I sleep, the waking eye dissolves. Dream eye appears. Waking eye, all things, whatever we see, talk, and all that is just the ego talking. I am doing sadhana, I will go and meditate now. Who is telling? The ego. The I consciousness. So this is now this I is replaced. The I has to be replaced by the Atman, identity. Now Guru, whatever he says, we go on. How could it be? How could it be? There won't be doubt. Is it true? Question doesn't come. It is. Now to keeping the mind firmly on that it doesn't move, but it goes on. First it becomes a larger cycle. It will be moving in a larger cycle. The area of operation will be vast. Suppose Atman, so many things. And then slowly the circle becomes smaller and smaller. Clear, 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 clear. And as we go inward, it becomes more and more brighter, more and more clear. What Guru has told, its reality starts shining in our mind. It's beginning of the Nididhyasana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Manana will awaken a particular aspect of buddhi. Manas and buddhi are same mind stuff, a different way of working. If it is decisive, we call it buddhi. If it is doubtful, pros and cons, we call it manas. Small difference. Now, this manas awakens the buddhi, a particular buddhi. It is called dhi. Dhiyo yona prachodayat. This dhi is a spiritual aspect of the buddhi, because it's a counterpart. Every world object, Prakriti, has a counterpart. I am there. I have a counterpart, spiritual counterpart, and bodily existence. I have a spiritual counterpart. Like buddhi has a spiritual counterpart. The spiritual counterpart is called dhi. This dhi is dormant. It is not active. It is not to be seen. When we start doing this manana, that manana gives that slowly. Now you have kept the mind withdrawn on the Shravanadav. Shravana, what you have heard and what you have read, on that you are keeping the mind firmly. The keeping the mind there itself is called some adhana. Adhana. Dha is to place. Dha. Adhana. Nidhaya. Atra nidhaya. Having kept it. Dha. Nidhana. Nidhaya. Firmly, clearly keeping mind in Shravanadav is called samadhana. So here he is telling, Nigrihitasya manasaha shravanadau tadanugana vishaye. What is it? Tadanugana vishaye? Tadanugana vishaya means all that is connected with Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, this, that, whatever gives you knowledge of that Shravana, all that is included in that. Anything that gives you links to your subject of thinking, object of thinking, and then it is called Tad Anugana Vishaya. That is helpful to go through that. Vishaye Samadhi, Samadhi, Samadhanam. Samadhi is Samadhanam. So we will stop this here today and go to the next for tomorrow. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.